On today's episode of Inside the NFL, why can't the Miami Dolphins win in Buffalo? It's been almost 8 years since their last win in Buffalo. We will talk about that. Plus, is OBJ really not happy with his role and his situation in Miami? More on that as we talked about that a few weeks ago, but we'll be talking about that again as there's further developments. Plus, salty Tua. Man, he's saltier than a bag of potato chips right now, but we love it. He was at the podium today. We'll talk about all that, plus much more. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Touchdown! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score! Grier down the near side, man open, touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's got it for a touchdown again! Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
All right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, 80. Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the Finish Line.
I coached some great offensive linemen in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one. As gentlemen, we meet again for another week with no victory Monday. The Dolphins, they lost a tough one this past weekend to the Arizona Cardinals, 28-27 on a last-minute field goal. But really, that defense, I mean, they could have probably scored a touchdown on them. They settled for a field goal against us. Let's be honest with ourselves. How are you feeling back? It's kind of a mixed bag of emotions, Richmond, because Tua looks sharp. Tua had the bad safety, but other than that, passing the football, reading the defense, he's very sharp. And then you got the defense in the second half. They looked like they were better when they were having to make up for having poor quarterback play, having their backs up against the wall on short fields than they were with having a competent offense back, because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I've been spewing these stats ad nauseum, but I'll tell you guys them. In the first half, the Miami Dolphins defense allowed 7 points and 135 yards. In the second half, they allowed 20 points and 254 yards. On the final three Arizona drives of the game, each drive was 70-plus yards. They allowed 218 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a game-winning field goal on the final 3 drives of the game. Didn't go the way we wanted it to, Richmond. How are you feeling coming off yet another L as we get closer and closer to the inevitable of this team officially missing the playoffs?
Yeah, like you said, it was another tough loss. Hope everybody's doing well, but I got to approach it a different way. I mean, I'm gonna still ride with them or whatever. But I think this year I'm hoping they kind of finish strong. But as far as playoffs or whatever, it's a pretty good likelihood that they're not gonna make it. And I'm just gonna ride with them. I hope they get it turned around. I hope they get it fixed. But I'm not gonna be like all upset after the game and this and that. Like you said, we fix one thing and then something else seems like we can't put it all together. And even if we do put it all together, I don't know if we have enough time to correct it to actually make a run for the playoffs. I mean, I think we all knew how important this game was, and with it being at home, yeah, it was definitely some positives. Like you say, Tua came back after being out this long and sharp and this and that, and we probably missed opportunities ourselves to possibly score a touchdown instead of a field goal, but didn't think that they would be able to move the ball like that on our defense. And there were times we could have had sacks on Kyler Murray and just missed him. He did a good job of moving in the pocket and escaping at times and making plays down the field. So we just not there yet. And until we are, I'll root for him and this and that. But until I see something different, I'm not, I'm just trust what my eyes have been showing me. And because it's hard, man, to come on here week in and week, and you try to be positive and this and that, but then eventually, not only me, I can see it, the fans can see it, this and that, and I can't be blowing smoke up people. It's just we got too many things we got to get corrected and get in unison before we can actually say we're a team that's a playoff team or moving toward that, and we're just not there right there. So I'm just coming to that realization. But I am a Dolphin fan, and I'm gonna just keep rooting for them. And I hope the fans can, just do what they got to do. But I see some people really pissed off and mentally, and it's no need letting your pressure and stuff get up like that to where you have a heart attack or something behind this game. Like, it is more to life than football, but at times we feel like it's not because we're just so passionate about the sport we love. But that's the advice I got. And other than that, I'm good. Family's good, this and that. You and Mr. BallGame, everybody's good on y'all end, so I'm good. How you doing, Mr. BallGame?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm emotionally detached at this point. I'm gonna go with the same adage that you gave. I'm not gonna put myself in a space where I'm gonna have my blood pressure up anymore. I can't, for the life of me. Obviously, if I had the ability to do so, I'd go out and I'd play for them. I'd go out and try my best to motivate them. But people gotta want things for themselves, and I think just like anything else in the world, right? You can say you're about being better, and you can say you're about wanting to do things better, but you have to be actively engaged in the process of doing things to get better. And I just know for myself, like right now at this point, what I watched on Sunday is much more of the same. And you can't necessarily get the type of success or even warrant the type of warrant the type of respect you want in the league when you come out and you can't close out games and you blow a 10-point lead and things of that nature. So for me, I think right now at this point, much like a lot of other things in society, football has become a space right now where guys really ain't going out to maximize these opportunities and take advantage of what is actually in front of them and what being great really looks like. It's just a job to them, you know what I mean? And it's not something that I don't see a lot of passion involved in what's going on. Tua showed up, and everybody seemed rejuvenated and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, they still let him down. I think, saying other than the one blunder, he did his job. But other people, you know what I mean, where the defense had been essentially the piece, the part of the puzzle holding things together, or you know what I'm saying, or part of the triangle holding things together, they faltered when when we needed the most. And you got Ramsey out there getting worked by a rookie wide receiver, like you know what I'm saying, on what I consider to be Hail Mary catches or last ditch effort catches, because those weren't all designed routes, you know what I mean, or things where you could have just really changed the tide of the game to be a lot different than it was. You know what I mean? They just didn't, and that's just a lack of. I think that's just a lack of execution. But it starts from the top. We said said from the top that if your coach is extremely relaxed and laid back, players are gonna take that into what I'm saying. And it's hard to get up to match the level of intensity that your opponent is if you don't go into that already there. And I see that, they're trying to go in off of accolades, previous accolades, and nobody don't care about that because they figured out how to kind of stop Tyreek and, slow Tyreek down and slow Waddle down. And, things got to look different. And, where the defense was good for periods throughout the game, then the most crucial stages, you got a second-year tight end killing David Long. Like you think David Long never covered a tight end a day in his life.
He was terrible. David Long was terrible.
Absolutely horrible. So it is what it is at this point, and we're going to discuss the Buffalo thing, but I have some choice things to say about that too, and I don't think most people are going to disagree with where it's coming from, because if I take the rose-colored glasses off and really look at what this team has been over the last decade, these three things I think are going to fit right into what most people can see. And then you got to ask yourself, how much further you're willing to take it with them, because if they don't want it for themselves, you can't make them take it. You can't make them be something that they don't want to be. So,
BallGame, what are your thoughts on Chop so far?
I think that him actively being engaged in the process and being on the field is going to help him long term. I just hope that, the lack of success that he's having at, the apex of trying to get to the quarterback and not being able to get there and then getting washed away sometimes in the run game doesn't defeat him, because these are things that, in theory, he would have had an opportunity if the veterans in front of him would have been there. He would have been able to ease his way into. But now he's been thrown into the fire. I like the fact that he's willing to continue competing, right? He's going to make his mistakes, and I think that's something that I always put out there as a buffer for, to some degree for rookies. But I don't have any negative things to say about him other than as long as he keeps fighting, as long as he keeps trying, success is going to be right there when he can, within his reach. He just got to keep being consistent about going out and doing the work, because the NFL is completely, obviously, we all know, it's a whole different level in terms of what's being asked of him at the NFL level than what was being asked of him in college, and he's learning that now. And he's, but he's getting the most crucial of reps right now at this point. You can't; these are immeasurable in terms of what could be offered to him, and I'm just hoping that he takes these lessons and he's getting with the veterans and asking questions and going back to his position coach and asking for other things that can be done, because the thing that killed me on Sunday the most was the fact that we were just over the top ineffective without Zach Seiler on the field for a pass rush. That was crazy to me. That I counted instances where Kyler was back there for 7 seconds untouched, being able to survey the field and then find an open receiver after the coverage is broken down. And that's all that falls on Chop too. You got to add more, more tools into his tool bag. But it's not just him. The entire defensive front did a horrible job of pressuring Kyler when they needed to the most. So,
well, he had 3 pressures and 2 of them forced incompletions. He was held on 2 or 3 different plays as well, where he probably would have got to the quarterback, because one of those plays he actually got his hands on the quarterback. Right. And he has been showing more tricks in his bag. Last week against the Colts, he got held. He attacked Braden Smith. He hit him with a speed bull, got him on his heels, and as soon as he had him on his heels, then he tried to rip under him. And when he came under with the rip, he got held, but there was no flag. So, I mean, you're seeing the development. He's getting close. It's going to come for this kid. People just got to be patient with him. But with this team right now, they've started now, obviously, not good. 2-5 to start out right now, potentially 2-6 this week. Is this team naive enough, like, to really believe what they're talking about? And what I'm referencing is how they keep bringing up how in 2021, after Tua returned, they were 7-1. They actually won 8 of their last 9 games. Do you think this whole ain't over talk is a little naive for what we're seeing on the field and where this organization is at right now?
Will we take it first, Richard?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Yeah,
first.
The thing that I always look at is that they can believe whatever they want to believe, but the fact of the matter is that the league has changed and the dynamics of the league has changed since 2021 to now. And what you are allowed to do then is nowhere in shape going to be something that people just gonna lay down and just allow to happen right now at this point. And they haven't really even shown like that they actually. I mean, you can believe that you can, but this was a perfect game for you to go out and prove that, you know what I'm saying, you can win the games that you're supposed to win, and they didn't do that. So you're not gonna get me to really believe that you're gonna be able to go out here and run off 7, 8 more games. You know what I'm saying? No, that's just unrealistic because you have to win the game that you're supposed to win, regardless of what the circumstances are. If you have the better roster, and you might have been thrown some bad situations, you still got to go out and execute. And they've lacked that. They've lacked execution at the highest level on all 3 phases of the game at different at different times throughout the season. So the belief is one thing, but I always say, people can convince themselves of whatever they want, but going out and actually achieving it is something different. And in football, ain't nobody gonna let you just come in and just get your goals accomplished. That's just not how that works. You gotta go out and take things, and they don't have the mentality. I don't believe that this team is tough enough, or they don't have the mental fortitude to be able to go and take 8 games. I don't see it because they still make the same type of, they still make very similar mistakes at most crucial times, which means that there's a lack of preparation, there's a lack of focus, and there's a lack of just sheer will and desire to be better. You see a lot of cats just going through the motion. So no, I'm not buying. No. I don't care what they say.
What do you think, Richard?
Yeah, it's I just sum it up like this. I think it was Vince Lombardi. It might have been. I might be quoting, but used to read one and say winning is a habit, but losing is also a habit as well. And I think BallGame hit it when he said execution. And you can talk about it, but if you got to go back to 2021 is done. That's in the books. 22, 23, all those are in the books. You can talk about the 72 team. You can talk about when I played. All that's done. That's part of history now. At this point, we've done enough talking, and rather than keep talking, let's go out and just let your play speak for what you're saying. And until they do that, some people going to buy into it, but after a while, people not going to hear it because it's the same thing week in, week out. Well, we did this. Yeah, we were in this position before. Well, if you was in that position and you want to come out of that position, some things got to change. And we just don't see that happening. So it's like the rah-rah speeches after a while, it's just like from anybody, you hear it, and then you just kind of become numb to it. So I'm not saying they can't do it, but the film don't lie. And that's what we used to always say until we see it on the film and say, okay, this looks like the team that we were all expecting to see at the beginning of the season, this and that, everybody, and not just one unit or one person. It's got to be a total team thing, offense, defense, special teams, until that wakes up and then we see just a glimmer of hope or something like that. I mean, you can keep saying it, but we need to see what happened in between those lines, and that's what counts. That's what matters. It doesn't matter what you say. Your play got to speak for yourself, and I think that's where I'm at. I hope what they're saying is true, but until I see it, I'm gonna just trust what my eyes show me.
Where are you guys at? I'll ask you right now before we get into everything. Where are you guys at with McDaniel and Grier right now? Because a lot of fans are screaming for change. I personally think if this continues to go sideways, I don't see how Grier makes it. I could see McDaniel given another year with a new GM. Where are you guys at with Grier and McDaniel right now if this season continues trending in the negative direction and we don't make the playoffs?
For me, I look at it as a business decision. I look at all the people that got paid to come in, high expectations, renegotiating Bryce's contract, and then you're not getting a return on your investment. So I'm sure the owner is not happy. I hadn't spoken to anybody, this and that, but it's got to be some people on the hot seat. I don't know what he'll done if he continues to spiral down like this. You would think that he's going to make some changes in the front office. Will it be Chris Grier? Possibly could. That's I hear a lot of noise on, social media platform stuff, fire Chris, this and that. It could be him. It could be Coach McDaniel. It's just depending on, how he wakes up one morning. If he's tired of it and he don't want to do it, he could, when you're owner, you can do what you want to do. So it wouldn't surprise me, but I think that's the thing I look at is he showed an effort by saying, okay, I'm rewarding these guys with new contracts, this and that, blah, blah, blah. This is what y'all say we need to do. I'm doing it. And then to come out and be like you said, 2-5 right now. I don't think you can find any analyst on any sports show or anything say, well, we predict almost by mid-season the Dolphins will be 2-5. I mean, it was just we were on the ladder expectations, supposed to be competing for a division, or we was a team that everybody's going to go through in the East, and that just hadn't happened. So I know he's not happy, but I could see somebody. I could see it. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody or several people lost their jobs if this thing don't get turned around.
Where are you at, BallGame?
Man, just think about all of the money this guy has put out, man, to make Miami one of the best locations in terms of free agency, for veterans, for guys looking for a new spot. You know what I mean? All of the stuff Ross has done, man, he hasn't got anything back remotely close to what it should be, in terms of a return for his investment. So something got to change. And you start with the person that's responsible for the roster in itself. You know what I mean? And then you go from there. And Chris Grier has been given every opportunity to do so, to get this thing shifted in the right direction. And we thought it was, but like at the end of the day, I fault Mike, but I don't fault Mike, because Mike's an innocent bystander in a lot of this thing, because we knew when they hired him that he was inexperienced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to take all of that into consideration with this process. And being a coach, coming from a coaching background, I know how difficult it is to essentially coach the game of football. But then when you take about you coaching on the highest level of football and you don't have all that other experience behind you to do so, that's an uphill battle. And what you can't have is a roster that's in the GM's mind good enough, but then when you get out on the field for execution, it's flawed, right? You've got, like I said at the beginning, remember I said that post a long time ago? We got all these Ferraris and Lamborghinis, right? And our running backs, you treat them like they were, like they were forerunners, because they can do a multitude of different things, and you can package them up and do all this other stuff with them. But the offensive line has had issues over the years. You know what I'm saying? Tua's health hasn't helped us, but in the same sense, I don't really fault that, because that's just a game of football. Shit, this happens like that. But then there's been failures on the defensive side of the ball as well. And you're going, instead of spending money where it should have been spent. If you look across the league, the teams that are flourishing now at this point, their quarterbacks are upright in the pocket with no worries, because they spent the money where it's supposed to, right? Defensive linemen get better, they get faster, they get stronger. Well, you got to invest in the guys that are blocking against them in order to keep your quarterback straight, because without your quarterback being successful, and you ain't going to win many games, simply plain. And Chris Grier failed to recognize that, and that can't go without being said. But to some degree, something has to change, whether it be bring in a new GM, keep Mike, but put Mike on a structure system where he's less involved in all of the coaching from the sideline type of deal, where, you just do the game day stuff and you handle all the prep, bring your OC in, somebody that can handle all those other responsibilities, and he learns how to officially be a head coach, because the friendship thing is one thing, but, and being a player coach is another thing. But in the same sense, Dan Campbell's a player coach because he was a player. And his guys know without a shadow of a doubt that he's been through most of the things that they're going through. So for them, it's easier for them to relate to him in that aspect and know that when he says what he says to them, it's my way. I need this from you like ASAP right now. Don't give me no bullshit, because I've been through it and I did this. You can't get that from Mike. That doesn't happen for Mike. That's never going to happen for Mike, not with these guys. You know what I'm saying? So there's a difference right there in how the coaches are revered and looked at, and he's never going to have that. So that makes him a little less effective in his ability to be able to reach these guys. So if he just take some of those other responsibilities away and just focus on being a coach, right? Instead of all these other things, then he might have some success, but something's got to change. This is an utter failure, in my opinion. There's no way at this juncture right now the Dolphins should have these 5 losses and to have lost again like they lost on Sunday to a Cardinals roster that is nowhere remotely as talented as this roster.
So let me ask this, because all these people keep trying to blame the quarterback for the loss on Sunday, and
Really?
it's just it's mind-boggling. They'll say, "Oh, how many points did we lose by?" You'll say 1. They'll say, "Well, how many points is a safety worth?" That's the difference. And I'll sit there and say, "What matters more on the scoreboard, a safety for 2 points or allowing 20 points as a defense?"
Yeah.
I'm
you
seeing
had a
the
10-point lead.
well, yeah, and the defense. People are just absolving the defense of all blame when even Emmanuel Ogbah came out and his quote was, "We got a spark from the offense and the defense shit down our own leg." That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did you guys come away? What did you guys come away from that game thinking that, because here's the thing. Kyler threw for 307 yards. We had the number 1 pass defense heading into that game. We were only allowing a little over 154 yards per game. We allowed 307 to Kyler. Cam Smith, multiple breakdowns to the Michael Wilson touchdown. The Marvin Harrison Jr., when we had him on 2nd and 15 on that final drive, and they got the 18-yard completion, that was on Cam Smith. You had, like you mentioned earlier, ball game, Jalen Ramsey getting cooked on crossers by Marvin Harrison Jr. regularly. When you look at that game, if you had to shoulder the blame on a unit, where would you shoulder the blame? Because listen, I think the Tua safety I think he should have had the ball, even though it was a high snap, wobbly, and a hard snap. I still think he should have had it. But at the same point, that defense, especially the last 3 drives, 218 yards, 370 plus drives for 2 touchdowns and a game-winning field goal, especially on one of those drives when you had them at 2nd and 15 after having them at 1st and 20. I think it's kind of inexcusable. What were you guys' thoughts? What if you I know it's a game that comes down to a lot of different plays adding up, but if you're looking in that second half or what went wrong, what would you ID was the biggest issue for the Miami Dolphins in that loss? Go BallGame. Muted.
I'm gonna go 55%. For that last bit of the game, I'm gonna go 55% on the defense, 45% on the offense, and then I'll say 45% on the offense because even when you were up, the goal then at that point is to eat clock, right? Even if you can't get successfully what it is that you want to achieve in terms of yardage and things of that nature, the goal is to eat the clock, to leave them with the least amount of time, if possible, if they have to get the ball back.
So you put play calling more on it than the safety, even.
Yeah, hell yeah, I do. Yes, because even in those instances, everything changes about how you have to actually scheme the game and how you have to actually play the game. What's up?
Let me ask you this. So what did you think about Jalen Wright? First 2 carries in the first quarter totaled 18 yards. Mostert's first 5 carries in the first half totaled -1 yards. Jalen Wright didn't see the ball after the first quarter.
Yeah, buddy ball. Once again.
He's right.
It's buddy ball.
He's right.
He's trying to appease the guy that came over from San Francisco with him that he knew over there, right? Over going with the young guy. Jalen Wright, in my opinion,
that you traded up for BallGame.
Yes. The high is really without a shadow of a doubt. It should be the Wright and A-Chain show. I'm okay with Moster coming in and spelling, but like he's not my lead back.
Especially in the red zone, where he's got a good nose for the end zone, right?
But yeah, he's not my lead back at all at this point because both of those 2 young guys, you can tell by the way they carry the rock that they have something to play for. He's on the back end of his, so. No.
And I think you can, A-Chan in year 2, right in year 1 BallGame. I don't know if you guys will agree with me. I think they already are displaying better vision than Mostert.
Well, listen, let's be honest. There's a reason why he got to this far in his career and he hadn't had 1,000 yards anywhere until he came to Miami under a system that he was familiar with. So, yeah, in terms of pedigree, he's not those guys. Those guys are definitely different types of backs and better running backs, and they're going to have longer, more fruitful careers as long as the health bug stays away from them because they are true. Their pedigree is just different. For me, right, I fault the ability to generate additional pressure. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, Kyler don't throw for what he throw for if he's not able to stand in the pocket and be
but BallGame, let me ask you this. We blitzed them 13 times. The second most times we blitzed this season. We blitzed Anthony Richardson 15. The difference is Anthony Richardson is mobile, but he's not as shifty and slippery as Kyler Murray, right?
So you come.
Why weren't they abandoning Why weren't they abandoning or disguising blitzes where you look like you're coming with Ramsey and then you're dropping back in coverage and trying to catch him with an underhanging defender to pick off, undercut a route or something like that? Why did they blitz him so much when it was evident early on? They blitzed him 13 times. He threw for 7 first downs against the blitz.
Right. Well, I think the one thing that, and to Kyler's credit, he's improved over the years is his ability for hot recognitions.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He has done a great job of that. So I'm not going to at any point make it sound like Kyler Murray is not a guy that can't recognize and pick up the blitz and make that read. I think what we screwed up, what we messed up at was that instead of showing, we showed it. And then we didn't. We was hesitant about getting there. If you're gonna blitz, bro, blitz. You feel me? And you gotta be reckless with the blitz, like to the point where I don't care who you got blocking me, bro. I'm coming through you. We gonna double up this gap. Something's gonna give, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have that type of pressure. We had one-on-one guys blocking and guys catching guys. So at that point, he could still stand in there, slide around in the pocket a little bit. There was never no uneasiness because we didn't gap blitz. We head up blitz, which is always bad because all I got to do is just catch a guy. You feel me? And if I could just hold him long enough, especially inside, where you going? Right? There was rallying and major, complicated stunts. Stuff that we did against Richardson now, they didn't do against Kyler. And I don't understand why, only because...
Well, they did with the Ramsey blitzing.
But to me personally, I'm not sending Jalen, right? If I know I got a monster who's out there making noise and making a name for himself, and he wants to prove that he's better than his father at some point in his career, I'm locking this kid up. I'm not giving him an opportunity to run free, right? They did a whole lot of simple stuff, bro. Like they really looked a lot like the damn Ravens, where they would send out 3 receivers, bro. And it was maximum blocking at times for him to be able to pick up stuff. And then they'd leak a guy later into later underneath the coverage. And then all Kyler had to do was just wait long enough because our coverage would break down. But we wouldn't get no pressure. And the only way you're going to really generate a whole bunch of fruitful pressure, you got to come from off platform, bro. You got to show them something that they haven't seen before. They were prepared. The Cardinals were extremely prepared for what we would put out there on Sunday.
It's like that last offensive play we ran. I don't know if you guys remember. Remember, it was a screen to Achane that fell incomplete. I don't know if you guys remember that. But look at what they did. They sent the whole second level up the gaps.
Yep.
And that was the problem. You know how screens work, guys. You got to take the snap, get to your drop, look upfield, let it set up, and then get it out, right?
Yeah.
He didn't even have – he was to the back.
They overwhelmed the gap.
He hit his back foot, and they were already through the gaps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what caused it. So it goes to BallGame's point. If you're going to commit, send the freaking house, because especially with a speedy guy like that, you want to pressure him up the gap, force him outside, and have the containment on the edge so he runs right into it. Yep. But we were sending guys off the edge. They were either missing, so the containment's now broke, or he was just totally making the play. It was just, what did you think? What did you think, Richmond?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the comment where I truly know a lot of people don't really understand the game. So to talk about the safety and blame Tua for the loss, that just lets me know people, their football IQ They just look at things different. So I don't argue with people like that, but I give him credit really for recognizing.
Richmond just politely told all y'all that you don't know ball. Anyways, continue. Go, Richmond.
Yeah, but the thing I could appreciate about that play on the safety was he has awareness enough to try to knock the ball out of the back of the end zone versus letting them fall on the ball and get an easy touchdown. So it's like, that's let me know he has a high football IQ, because he realized what happened and he was trying to say, and fortunately he did, but for people to say that, but you never really blame it on one guy. You know, I'm a big team sport, but like you said, especially in the second half, the defense definitely didn't come out. And if for you to allow that many consistent drives, you got to look at yourselves. And I think, like you said, obvious, if you are a competitor, or if you're a guy that takes pride in what you do, that's a guy like Ogba, because he didn't look to point his finger at nobody else. He took accountability for it and said, hey, no, that's really on us, this and that. We hadn't really been scoring many points since Tua was in there. I'm not saying we broke the clock, but we scored enough points to win that football game. And like BallGame said, when you got a hot hand, and I agree with both of y'all, with Wright and Achane, that's the future. That's what you're going to be building around, even if you want to use Moses every now and then. But when you get a guy, if he's ripped two of them off like that, you got to let him eat, because just like anything, running backs get in a rhythm just like anything. So if he's feeling it like that, keep feeding him. He would have his tongue hanging out his mouth saying, hey, man, I'm tired. Can you send somebody else in there? I'm like, I got to get it out of you when you're feeling it like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to control the time, the clock, everything that we know. That so that
he would have to tell me he would have to tell me he want to come out. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm gonna ride until the wheels fall off.
You got to ride him when
they can't stop him. Then why am I gonna go away from him?
Yeah.
Well, and then on ask that question to McDaniel, because he does it consistently.
And then even on the thing I thought about reason when you were talking about on the last play on the screen, I couldn't remember that. But say if we were playing and Dan knew it was an all-out blitz and we had a screen on, he would check out of that play, but he would have the option to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because like you said, it takes the screen too long to develop. Yeah. Even if you check out of it, they might make the play, but if you make somebody miss on all-out blitz, that could be a touchdown. But you know
exactly. The space was there, and like it was there for Achane. Yeah. He would have two free blockers ahead of him, but it didn't have time to develop.
Didn't have time. So if you don't have time, you know that, okay, let me check out of this and we'll do something else. Yeah. And then the other thing I was thinking about, and I'm sure they do this, but it was just like y'all said, down in the red zone, Wright is the guy that has the most success. I think by every 4 weeks, they would do a scouting report where the Dolphins would scout themselves, what our tendencies was and certain what we would do.
Break them too.
You know what I'm saying? And so you know what everybody else is looking at. And I'm like, okay, you know what they're looking at. Okay, maybe we need to change this up, or maybe we look the same, but we do something different out of it. It's just stuff like that that kind of triggers my mind when, y'all start talking about it. I know
the analytics matter, bro.
Yeah, it matters. At this level, it matters huge. It's
huge.
The game has just changed. You're not going to just go out there and bully ball everybody every week. Everybody got players. So, that's some of the stuff. So, that's where I'm at.
So let's get into this. The Dolphins are traveling to Buffalo this week. The last time they won in Buffalo, December 24th, 2016. It was 34-31 in overtime. Matt Moore threw for 233 yards. J.J. had 206 yards rushing. Devontae Parker had 85 yards receiving. Michael Thomas had 10 tackles. You remember him, BallGame? Michael Thomas?
Yeah.
Cam Wake had 1 sack, and Andrew Franks kicked the game-winning field goal. It's been 8 years, gentlemen. I want to hear. I asked you guys, list your reasons why you think this team can't get it done in Buffalo. We'll start off with you, Richmond, and I got a little thing for you too, Richmond.
Okay, you always got something. That's cool. The first thing. Okay, go ahead.
So, your first year, 1990, right?
Yes.
So you lost your first 2 years in Buffalo. You lost December 23rd, 1990, 24-14, and then you lost the following year to start the season, September 1st, 1991. You lost 35-31. Then you guys won your next 2 years in a row. Then you lost your next 2 years in a row. Basically, from your tenure there, from 1990 to 2000, all right, you guys in Buffalo were not good. You were 4-7 in Buffalo during your tenure in 10 years. So this is something, I say all that to say this. This is something that's been going on for quite some time. I mean, we could say we haven't won in Buffalo since 2016. This is something you could date back to the 90s. We've had problems winning in Buffalo since you were there. So what would you say are the biggest reasons why right now the Miami Dolphins have problems winning in Buffalo?
Well, the thing when you brought up 2016, you went over the stats. First thing that stuck out to me was that Jai had 200 yards rushing. So anytime, that's the first thing before you say anything else. When I heard that, I was like, okay, that makes sense. So if you're able to run the ball, you're able to control the clock. But the things that I wrote down was execution, being out executed. Next thing I wrote down was mistakes, penalties, mental errors, turnovers. That's another reason. And then the last one I kind of combined was don't match their level of intensity, physicality, or being out coached. And I think a lot of times that happens. And I'm not gonna lie, Buffalo is a very tough place to play. You know, I think, you know, especially when I got there, the Bills was probably the best teams in the AFC, and we would get close, but we couldn't get over it and this and that. But it is a tough place to play, but it's not a place that you can't win. And like I said, if you can run the ball, I think the key is you got to get physical with Buffalo when you go up there. And I think if they get physical and then give a heavy dose of right, if they can open up those holes and let him eat. And on the defensive side of the ball, we already know you got to contain Josh Allen as far as not letting him just run and kill you when there's nothing downfield. I think that's the thing that has hurt us the last few times up there. I remember that playoff game with the third string quarterback. We almost won the game, but it's stuff like that. It's not that you can't win up there, but you got to go up there with the right mindset and knowing that, you know, they're going to try to take it to us. And I think they know in the back of their heads, I think they always think that if they get physical with Miami, you know, we can win this football game. And I think that's their mentality, and that's the way they approach it when they play us, especially when it's up there, because they don't have to worry about the heat, don't have to worry about the humidity, this and that. They get the running game going, and if they get the running game going, they're not going to go away from it. They're going to continue to feed it and then hit their receivers and stuff and take the opportunities down the field. But I think, you know, Coach McDermott, I think he does a good job coaching, and he takes advantage of that, and then he'll try to, you know, get pressure on Tua, because he knows if we're going to throw the ball 30 or 40 times a game, they'll come up with different packages to try to flush him out the pocket and this and that, because if you're not going to commit to the run, it really plays into their hands. So I would say those are like my three things that I've looked at as far as why we hadn't won up there.
BallGame, what's your opinion on this situation?
So, this is an interesting time, right? But we'll talk brass. We're gonna talk directly right at it, bro. This team really hasn't had a true identity, to be honest with you. And I think in terms of like when you think about the teams that have been consistently good over this time period, they've been able to be teams that you can notably say were tough on defense. They had a balanced attack, right? And they were coached extremely well. And we've never had all three of those phases match up for us. So they've never, in my opinion, the first one is they never had a true identity as a football team, right? So you always one step behind going into that place where it's already crazy and those fans are like right there on top of you. So if you're not already, like, you know what I'm saying, like 300, like Leonidas had those guys ready to get, you know what I'm saying, go to battle against Xerxes,
Yeah.
then you already lost. The battle's pretty much already done. Now you're just playing for second place. And then they haven't been tough, man. Like you said, since 2016, when you talk about 206 yards of rushing, bro, That's toughness. That says right there at that point, I don't care. It's gonna be ugly, but we're gonna bludgeon you to death with this run game, right? And in order to be able to do that, you have to have the mindset that says, you know what, over anything else, we're just gonna keep sticking to it. 3 yards here, 4 yards here, we're gonna make you quit. And we just not. They ain't been built that way. And they could be, but I don't understand why they're afraid to go against. You know what I'm saying? What's your strength is at this point? Well, we thought the passing game would be the strength of this team, but you have two backs that are definitely willing to commit themselves to just being bell cows for you, and you can swap them out and interchange them and still give people a dose of nothing but brutality. You won't do it because you want to be too cute. So there's a lack of, that we lack intestinal fortitude and we lack toughness. But we lack it in the areas that matter the most, the guys that are blocking for these guys, and the willingness to commit to something that you didn't think was your strength, but it is your strength. The resolve to say, you know what, I was wrong in my philosophy. This is the way we should be doing this, and everything else can feed off of this. That's what they should be doing. And then lastly, over this span, bro, to be honest with you, we just haven't really been that good in totality, right? The rosters will look a certain type of way, and we have all these other built-up expectations of what these guys should do. But, in actuality, they probably were inept in a lot of places. And then, we just allowed the fandom to believe that we were better than we truly were. Now, the difference is that this group, if you look at them individually and you rack up the stars on this team, that's not the case. But even then, like, they're still soft. We're still soft. But we're soft because mentally we're soft at the top. Mentally we're soft at the top. You know what I mean? Mike's soft, in my opinion. What's going on, Richmond? You can't hear me?
Is it me? Can you hear him?
No, you can hear you. You're good.
Okay.
It's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just soft, man, and there's no really there's nothing wrong with going ahead and just being upfront and honest about it. Like Connor, right, had 40. Man, James, people can go back and you can see it on Sunday. He went beast mode on us for those last couple of drives that they had, and when he did touch the ball, he ran hard and fast right down our throats, and we couldn't do anything to stop it because you stopped him all game, and then when you needed it the most, he manned up and he became a football player, a real deal football player, and our guys were out there trying to catch him instead of tackling him. Then we were trying to catch him and hope that he wouldn't, out physical us, and we got out physical, and that's who we are right now. We soft, and until they were willing to commit to the grittiness and the griminess of football, we're gonna always be left short. We're gonna always be hoping for something that ain't gonna ever show up, just because of the fact that no identity, no intestinal fortitude and toughness, and we're just really not that good.
So a couple of things that I have is number one, Josh Allen's been superhuman against us, while Tua hasn't really been against them. Josh Allen's 11-2 against Miami. He has 110 career passer rating against us. You look at him right now. It's just Richmond left. That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
It's right there. So yeah, he's been kind of superhuman against us. His last 6 games against us, he has 16 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. He's had a 400-yard game, a 304-yard game, a 352-yard game, a 320-yard game as well in that span too. Like he has been really, really
lights out. That's called
lights out against us. When you look at Tua, and he also has 640 rushing yards against Miami. Okay, he's averaging like 7.4 yards per carry against us. You look at Tagovailoa, he's 1-7 against the Bills. He got a 7 touchdown to 10 interception ratio. He's got a 74.1 passer rating, which is his second lowest against any team in the in the NFL. He's fumbled 3 times and taken 13 sacks against the Bills. He just hasn't been good. I think number 2 is Mike McDermott at this stage of his career is a far better coach than Mike McDaniel, and that matters. I think he puts together a better coaching staff than we do. He knows how to, he's a defensive mind, and he knows how to counter and beat Mike McDaniel and you watch how disciplined.
I think McDermott is a great coach.
Yeah, he is. You watch how disciplined the Bills are. They don't fall for none of that window dressing we try to throw at them.
Right.
They don't fall for none of that stuff at all. They stay disciplined to their assignments, their landmarks, etc. So I think you got a quarterback that's playing superhuman, another quarterback that isn't good against the opponent, and then you got the Bills coach out coaches our coach. That's an issue right now. Now my third thing would probably be this: injuries. Look at Tua. In his one win against the Bills, he got his bell rung. Right? He got his bell rung, and then next thing you know, he ended up getting concussed in the next game. But you look at that. What else happened to Tua? Rib injury. Remember, they took the rib injury a couple years ago when Flores was here, and now another concussion. I mean, injuries are a serious issue against the Bills for us. I just listed the quarterback. That's all I did. Because you take that quarterback out, we're pretty much done. We've seen how this offense goes. So really, I think they've gotten better quarterback play. They've gotten better coaching job. And I think injuries and luck have been on their side pretty consistently with that. And I think you guys nailed something else too. We're soft against them. If you want me to give a fourth, we're soft. Yeah. Let's go back to 2022 when we should have beat them in Buffalo. Trent Sherfield and Tyreek Hill dropping touchdown passes, soft. Josh Boyer giving up a 3rd and 17 before the end of the first half, and then we give up a touchdown on that drive, soft. Like we're just soft, man. You go back to you guys remember Tua's rookie year? Mm-hmm. Remember when he get in?
Yep.
Basically, what happens? Tua throws 3 picks on 2 of them. One hits Parker in the chest, pops up, gets picked. The other one, Tua throws to the spot, Parker slips and doesn't make it to the spot, and it gets picked off. Like, we don't have luck. We play soft. All of a sudden, these guys don't get off the bus. Like, I just, and I know you guys have seen it in different sports you watched, let alone the sports we've played growing up. Sometimes teams just have your number.
Have your number. Yep.
From ball luck to penalty calls to injuries, everything goes their way and nothing goes your way. And that has been the story for, it feels like, forever against this team. This is not just a Tua issue. This is an organizational issue with the Bills right now.
Yeah.
So.
The sad state of being.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. You guys think if we get blown out this weekend, something happens?
Oh, yeah, they're going to tear it down. They're going to tear it down. But then you definitely sitting, what are we at, the 9th?
Yeah, but not only that, you look like you were battling for the division last year, and now if you get blown out and you're sitting there at 2-6, you're nowhere near. You've regressed.
It almost seems like Buffalo is the New England Patriots in the East, especially this year. Nobody's doing anything except Buffalo, so they'll win the division easy and advance. And I'm like, man, it's just.
You guys see Salty Tua today?
I did not see.
Check this out. This is Tua talking about the Aaron Brewer snap.
Sure, it's as simple as catching the ball in the gun. But I would say I'm a pretty good shortstop guy. I have pretty good vision. I have pretty good hands. I mean, I'd like to see a lot of other people go in the back there and try to catch that ball too. You've seen it wasn't Brew's best, and Brew knows he can get it better, but it wasn't my best as well. But I'm just saying, to give perspective, you know, it's not as easy as what it looked like, sitting down on your couch eating chips.
That's a mic drop. Yeah, it's just yeah.
Oh, the gloves are off, man. The gloves are off. All you potato chip. I mean, that's why I said he's saltier than a bag of potato chips right now. Holy, man, Tua got a little bit of it. And you know what, man? Other than the safety, he was pretty lights out passing the football last weekend. So that's the type of play I'm going to get from Salty Tua. Sign me up for the week, please.
You got to back. You got to get them up off of you every now and then because they'll just keep leaning and leaning and leaning on you. And
that man said, "Until you walk the mile in my shoes, I don't care what you guys say."
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Odell Beckham, guys. I don't know if he's happy right now. We had that interview that came out with, well, not interview, but that little segment that Omar Kelly had put on the timeline a few weeks ago where he kind of seemed like indifferent with where he is in football. And then we had someone a couple of days ago on Twitter say, I'm waiting for someone to make an edit of him running routes, 0 catches with crying emojis. Odell Beckham Jr. went out of his way to respond to this person and said, tell them when they make the edit, show all the routes. Yup, bet. You know, he's basically saying what Tyreek Hill said yesterday, cut the tape. If you're going to talk crap, cut the tape because I'm doing my job. What are your guys' senses right now? What are you thinking of OBJ as this third receiver role and knowing him, his attitude, and just the attitude of any competitor? You think he's happy right now?
I don't think anybody in the wide receiver room, top 3, are happy right now. I think, like you said, when you're a competitor and you're used to getting a certain amount of catches or at least targets, and you're not getting that, and then for OBJ to previously be a number 1, and now you say, okay, I'm gonna come here, I'll be the third receiver, and then he didn't want to get put on IR. He gets put on IR, you know, where he's ready to go, and so now you miss those games, and now you get back, and then you still not getting nothing. That's not what he signed up for. If you're competitive, you can't just say, well, I'm just happy with making my money. I don't think he's happy. I don't think Tyreek's happy. I don't think Jalen Waller's happy. I think they're frustrated, and they should be, but no, I can't see he's being happy at all. And like you said, when he went back to respond, you know, a lot that's the thing with a lot of people. They'll take 1 or 2 plays or video and show this and say this or that, and every now and then you gotta chin check some people, and I think that's what he did. So it's like, nah, bro, if you're gonna put it out there, put it all out there. And it's been frustrating. Like you said, with Tua being out, he's back in, but still, like, they know it's gonna get better. But when you've been waiting this long, they're not happy right now. Plus on the fact that we're not winning right now, it's like it's just piling on. So yeah, I don't think any of them are happy right now, especially in the wide receiver room.
What do you think, BallGame?
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way for anybody to be happy about what's happening right now. And the problem is, like quicksand, right? When you start getting to a space, really though, where you start firing back at people and your comments are less than what they used to be, that shows your frustration. I'm glad that they're frustrated to some degree, so maybe they can get together outside of what the coaches are providing for them and figure out kind of what direction they're gonna go or how they're gonna, you know, come all together. But he knew what his role was, right? The only thing is that I don't think he has any continuity with Tua right now at this point. So they got to build that on the fly. But, you know, that just takes reps. You know, you're going to really get the ones that matter the most is in game. So that's going to be a learning process right there for both of them to figure each other out. I think he's came in and, you know, pretty much showed his ability to find the open guy. And he threw some passes on Sunday, man, which just made me just still continue to be like, damn, this dude got it, man. You know what I mean? Ain't too many people making that pass or making that pass the way he made it. So, if he is frustrated, then that's good. That means he still cares. And I think sometimes if he, you know, to some degree, if he wasn't frustrated, then that would be more of a concern to me, as regards to why isn't he? And if you just here just to be here, but if you here, you know, if you here still trying to get this team wins, then yeah, they probably are frustrated, and I'm okay with that. Some levels of frustration can turn things into some positives for you, but you're gonna need every bit of whatever you can muster up deep down inside to travel up north this Sunday anyway. So hell, be over the top pissed off if you gotta be. Or just go out there and execute to the highest level possible, and maybe they could pull off a win and shock them in Buffalo. But they all got to do it. All 53 got to do it, not just one individual. And I hated that people to some degree had put so much pressure on Tua, but Tua showed up on Sunday.
Yeah, he did.
So,
speaking of wide receiver 3, River Cracraft practiced today. McDaniel said Isaiah Wynn has had positive weeks and is trending towards returning, but not yet. Zach Steeler, it's unknown at this time. And a decision may be made closer to the game. A lot of people weren't at practice today. Tyreek, Taron Armstead, Calais Campbell, Ogba, Kader Kohu, Storm Duck. Some of those were vet rests. Javon Holland and Poyer were seen off to the side doing drills. So we're getting some bodies back. Final thoughts, gentlemen, heading into this game with the Buffalo Bills this week.
Yeah, my final thoughts is I think we all know what we got to do. I think it's, like BallGame just said, you got to go play physical with them and this and that. And you got to change the narrative. Only they can do that. We've done enough talking. It's time to go out and let whatever you're going to do show on the field. And this and that. That's the quickest way to kind of quiet the noise, this and that. But I'll be rooting for them, but I'm going to just wait and see what happens. But I'm hoping they can get it together and go out and do a good showing. It would be huge to go up to Buffalo and get a win. That would really, really feel good. So I'm hoping they can pull that off.
I wouldn't say it's impossible. I just say it's improbable, right? Based on the current things that we've seen. But, I've seen weirder things happen where teams finally, decide that enough is enough for at least one segment of the year, and then they go and shock the world. So could they do it? They could, but, I'm got to see. I think as long as they commit to being mistake-free, penalty-free, high levels of execution, and just, toughness, man, they stand a chance. They stand a chance against anyone if you bring those 3 to the table. Everything else will work itself out, but execution is at the highest level of necessity. And until they all decide to do that, and including Julian Hale non-blocking there, you're gonna have lapses of productivity that are not gonna look good at all. And it's on them.
You guys got us winning this week?
Yeah, no.
Richmond?
I told you I'm watching, bro. I'm not calling. I'm pulling for them, but I'm not gonna do that to the fan base. I'm riding with them, but I gotta see. So they say they know what to do. We're gonna see. That's all I'm saying.
No positive prediction this week, Richmond? What happened?
That's a big hell no.
Hey, these people ride with me too much, man. I'm gonna just
see. Hey. You know what the thing is too, eh?
What's that?
If you don't get blown out this week, then you got to go face the Rams in primetime, and if that don't go right for an owner and a team that's all about optics, I think we're getting into the territory where this could be any week type of stuff. Like, because especially if this continues not going well, and then, you get your ass handed to you on Thanksgiving against the Green Bay Packers when the whole nation is watching because everyone's home eating turkey. This is I think by the end of November, now in fairness, I said this in 2021, they made the decision to fire Flores in October and they didn't get rid of him until the off season. But I just can't see this continuing to get ugly throughout November and a trigger not being pulled somewhere. I cannot see it not happening.
Yeah.
So, we'll find out. And the thing is too, you got to retool this roster because our owner's 84. He's not old. He might not have enough time left on the clock to sit around for another 5-year rebuild. Right. That's a reality situation. I'm not even trying to be facetious or funny or anything. You know, so, and you got enough talent here. That's why where people are talking about like Tyreek Hill getting traded and stuff like that. I don't think Tyreek Hill's getting traded. I think they're going to try and retool this roster. And I think a guy like, because I don't know if you guys saw, but Bradley Chubb, McDaniel said this week it's ACL plus. So it's not just an ACL with Bradley Chubb. And they knew he wouldn't be back by this time. So we'll see how it goes. Remember, tomorrow there is no episode of Fin Too Deep, as we'll be out trick-or-treating with our children. So I'll be back on Friday to preview this weekend's game. Then we'll be back on Sunday for the live reaction and the post-game show. If anything breaks in between now and then, you can count on me going live here first on Finside the NFL. Smash the like button, subscribe if you're new, and as always, fins up. We'll see you on the next one.